Hey guys, this is Eli, and welcome back to another episode of Eli's Kingdom, and we are now on episode 9, I believe, and if you didn't miss the last episode, we basically started building this super smelter behind us, and yep, there we go, it just fired. I think I've timed that perfectly. This thing is fantastic. This is one of these automatic super smelters, so basically what happens is we throw all of our items into this kind of central input chest. This is the chest which is going to divide everything into our kind of general sorting system. But at the same time, it's going to pick out the coal and any smeltable items, any cookable meats, cookable fish, and they're going to get passed into this super smelter. So everything in theory should be fully automatic. You know, we never need to do any maintenance on this. It should just all work. And I think it looks pretty fantastic as well. I love being able to see the minecart bob back and forth. I love seeing these furnaces fire one by one. I think it looks great on top of this archway as well. Originally, I didn't know where I was going to put it. You know, this thing's kind of bulky, so I thought maybe it needs to go in the ground. I did kind of want to put it quite high up, but, you know, I wasn't too sure. But I think it just fits here perfectly. You know, we had this kind of space here above the door frame and next to these silos, and it just works. It's fantastic. The one thing I will say about this is it's quite a bulky contraption, so certainly super smelters, they take up a lot of room. And because we're doing this fully automatic, we did have to build quite a lot of circuitry in the last episode. These are the circuits which basically allocate the items into this super smelter. Now, in order to be completely efficient, we need to distribute the items evenly so that we don't have, you know, more items going into one furnace versus the other. So to do that, we ended up building one of these item packet systems, which I've not heard of anyone do this before, but it probably has been done. But the fun part about this is we didn't follow any tutorials. We just kind of developed it ourselves and came up with the concept to do this. So basically, this will take out 18 items and it will deposit 18 items into the minecart. And then the minecart bobs back and forth and it should deposit 2 items per furnace. And there's 2 circuits there. There's one for the coal and one for all these smeltable items. And it just works. It's fantastic. There's been 1 or 2 hiccups that need to be changed, but I think it's pretty much 95% there. So certainly in today's episode, I'd love to get the other side sorted because of course we have dual super smelters here. And yeah, we're going to have a minecart down below which is going to bob back and forth and divide items evenly between these 2 super smelters. So we are going to be completely overpowered with smelting power. This is going to be fantastic when it's all set up. But yeah, I did want to apologize for the extreme redstone-ness of that episode. It was an extremely redstone-y episode. I don't know if you guys like that or not. So, you know, please let me know in the comments section if you don't mind having very technical episodes, or, you know, maybe you prefer more kind of building styles. I really don't know. Just let me know what your kind of favorite style of episode is. I think for me, I'm definitely more of a technical builder. You know, that's something which I seem to be pretty good at, is doing redstone. And certainly in this series, that's what to kind of expect, is we're going to be coming up with new designs. Things like these bulk storage silos, you know, these are a brand new design, and I love like not following tutorials. I love trying to make things myself, and you know, sometimes you probably do come across designs which other people have done, but it's more fun to try and come up with your own things and put your own spin on things. So yeah, I really love this. Just before we start the episode, I wanted to do a shout out to a couple of my subscribers, just to say thank you for all of your lovely comments. You know, I read every comment, I try my best to reply to every comment, and it just kind of makes it worth it. So you guys are Tommy Monda, Froggy, Cade Luber, George Balanza, Jam Sandwich, I love that name by the way, Matthew Powers, and Ali Lags. So yeah, thank you so much guys, you guys are awesome. And you know, I'd really love to meet you guys. Send me a message or something and we just have a chat. And you know, if you have ideas for the series, then please do let me know. That would be awesome to hear from you guys. But yeah, certainly in today's episode, I do want to get this super smelter finished. And then I guess if we have time, we're going to need to do all the circuitry and water streams for these bulk storage silos. We can actually just take a peek down in the basement level, which is where we have all of our item sorters. Currently, these are all empty, so these are going to have to be filled in probably in today's episode. But we should have 16 item sorters, which are going to pick out everything for our bulk storage silos and our super smelter. I did have to make one change between episodes. This is with this water stream over here. I've had to go and do the cake trick. Now, I'm sure you've all seen this before, but if you haven't, basically the reason why I had to do this is because items kept on getting stuck in this hopper. So because the hopper has, it's basically got a little hole in the center, our ore items and, smeltable items were coming along here, and occasionally one of the items would get stuck here. And of course, because items group together when they, come close to each other, we were just getting a big backup of items sitting here that should have been in this hopper. So in order to solve that, I had to do this cake trick, which basically the cake takes up slightly less than the width of a block. So we have this kind of buffer space here. And as the items kind of come along here, they actually cross over this line slightly. So they pretty much sit directly where the cursor is right now, rather than sitting, over here. And then we also have the half slabs here, which for some reason people call them upside down half slabs, but they aren't upside down. They're the right way up. They're just on the upper half of the block. But these, because they're raised, they allow items to basically exist, underneath them. So the items should pass along this line here and move all the way over. And then by the time they reach this hopper, they basically kind of move along the very edge of the hopper. So they shouldn't fall down, and then they should make their way over here where they get sucked in. So this seems to have fixed that problem. I did notice we have another problem as well, and it's that this hopper pretty much backs up really easily. Our clock that we have over here, this is the burnout torch clock or whatever it's called. This thing is so fast and so powerful that this dropper here spits out items too fast for that hopper to cope with. So that hopper actually backs up. And what happens is the coal doesn't get picked up and it actually moves over to this hopper here, which is obviously very bad because the coal gets into the smeltable section of the furnace and then it just blocks up the furnace permanently. So that's obviously a very bad thing and needs to get sorted. So I think we'll definitely make some changes to get rid of this clock in this episode. But yeah, if we do get time, I'd love to get these dropper elevators wired up. This will take items up to our bulk storage silos, and we need to get water streams in place. But just before we do that, there's two things I want to show you guys that I've actually been meaning to show for a while now. They're kind of far away, so we're going to have to do jump cuts to get there, but they're both really cool, and you guys have to see it. So there's one of them which is probably about 1,000 blocks in this direction that we're going to have to take a boat to go and see. I think we'll see that one second. The first one I want to show you guys is actually down in the mines that I explored way back in, I can't remember which episode it was. I think it was episode 1. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this right now. Okay guys, so we're down here in the mines, which I think it was way back in episode 1 I came here and I was just doing some resource gathering. This is where we had one of the first time lapses, I think. And basically while I was down here, I came across quite a lot of these mob spawners. And every time I came across one, I hit the F3 screen, I took a look at the looking at section, and I pretty much wrote down the coordinates for every single spawner. Now, if you remember a couple episodes ago, I mentioned that I was traveling from Phoenix, Arizona, back to Edinburgh, Scotland. And it was a pretty long flight. I think it's about 10.5 hours. And I was pretty bored and, didn't have anything to do. So to pass the time, I basically took out my laptop and I started writing a program. Now, what this program was aimed or designed to do is basically you input a bunch of coordinates, such as spawners. And what it'll do is it'll run a search algorithm between all the kind of spawners that you input. And it will pretty much find the optimum spots for where to stand. And also, if you input multiple spawners, then it will tell you, the best spot to stand to activate both spawners simultaneously. But it will also tell you how many spawners are in range for each spot. And I think there's a spot kind of around here somewhere where we actually have 5 spawners in range. And when I saw this spit out, I was like, wow, we got 5 spawners. I thought that could make a really sweet XP farm. So I think we have the spider one, which we passed before. We have one spider here. I think there was one just along here, which was another spider. There was one up here, which, to be honest, I never would have found that was within range. This is the zombie one. I must have come down this corridor to find this one, but, I had no idea that this was nearby the other ones, so I wouldn't have been able to know that without the use of this program. And then I don't know where the 5th one is. It must be somewhere else. But I think we have 4 spiders and 1 zombie, so unfortunately we don't have any skeletons, but this could make a really cool XP farm. I do have plans in the future to do an Enderman farm, and that's kind of like the best of the best regarding XP farms. You know, those Endermen tend to drop a lot of XP. So I'm not too sure whether that would be better for XP than one of these things. I don't even know what you call a 5 spawner farm. I know 2 would be double, 3 would be triple, 4 would be quadruple. I don't know what the word is for 5, but I need to Google this to find out. But yeah, this could certainly be a plan for a future episode. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this because I thought it was really cool. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys is actually out at sea, and this is the ocean which is pretty close to our base. It's just the other side of the desert. This is the desert we can see from our base. And yeah, it's not too far away. I came here and I came across this mushroom island, which is pretty cool. If you haven't seen these are one of the few places in Minecraft where mobs won't spawn. But basically I came out here trying to find an ocean monument, and there's one that's fairly close by. And yeah, I really need to get some sponges. I wanted to get some sea lanterns. I love building with sea lanterns. You know, it's one of my favorite lights in the game. So I kind of needed to find these and get started. At some point in the future, we're going to be building a kind of a mini farm here. It's something I'm not looking forward to because obviously it's a pain to have to try and get all the water out of these things. But as I was coming across it, I came across 2 things which kind of surprised me. Now, the first one should just be coming into spawnable range over here, and I think that's it there. We have a second guardian farm just off on the horizon, which is pretty cool. But then there was also something down here which I noticed, and I just saw this and I was like, what is this? I have no idea. So I came along here, I jumped off my boat and swam down here. And I was thinking, what on earth is this? I was really quite surprised. But then I saw it was stone bricks, and I kind of had a vague idea. Better get my sword out as well. And then I came down here, and of course, this is where our ender portal is, which is really cool because I kept on meaning to try and find this, but I had a cool plan in mind which I wanted to show you guys. A kind of clever trick in how to find this. Better keep my eyes out for these silver fish. But yeah, no, we found this already, so I can certainly start collecting the ender portal. Oh, jeez, no, quick, throw out my items. Throw out my items. This is not good. This is not good. No. No. I don't have any blocks as well. I think I need a cup of tea. Your daddy is a big doofus, isn't he? Yeah, he is. So I managed to get my items back, believe it or not. I guess because it's so far away that everything unloaded and that kind of pauses the timer. I'm not too sure how it works exactly. But I got everything back except for the boots. So I don't know if it was a good idea to just throw these on the ground like that. I realize now that I probably could have just used the pickaxe to break the stone bricks and get out of the lava. But I panicked. I didn't know what to do. And I just threw everything. But I guess the boots must have landed in the lava, so I didn't manage to get them. Although weirdly, boots is the one thing I seem to have a spare pair of, so it's not so bad. But anyway, we actually need to head back in that direction because I did have a bunch of potions on my in my inventory to actually raid the one of the ocean monuments while we were there. I basically want to kill the Elder Guardians, grab myself some sponges, and just get everything kind of ready for future plans of building a Guardian farm because I do plan to use a lot of sea lanterns. I love sea lanterns, so I think we're going to need a Guardian farm at some point to, just have that option available. So yeah, let's head back in that direction now. So I've actually taken out a couple of these before, and I remember the first time I took one of these, or raided one of these ocean monuments, I didn't realize that they had a door in them, and I actually used TNT to try and explode my way in from down below, which was probably a bit of a stupid thing to do. See if we can get out here. Get my sword out. Yeah, I didn't realize there was a door here, which was so silly. And of course, your armor gets completely destroyed as well. But I think now I'm going to be much more prepared. So we got our potions, we got night vision, and we got... I probably don't even need the night vision. We definitely need the water breathing. And see what happens if we take this. Yeah, it does make a big difference. Okay, that's good. So, yeah. I think there's probably a strategy to this, and I never know what the strategy actually is. I think there's certain rooms where, these things will always configure in the correct way. So I think you have to go all the way to the top. Maybe not. I don't know. No idea what I'm doing. Okay, so we're back on dry land now and managed to get quite a good amount of loot. I found 3 sponge rooms, so that seems to be exactly a stack and a half. And of course we have the 3 dry sponges from our Elder Guardians. Got the 8 gold blocks, and I also took out every single sea lantern I could find on the inside. That seems to be exactly a stack and a half, which is quite interesting to know. I didn't get any of the lanterns on the outside. There's just too many mobs around, including one that was in my boat, so I had to try and take that guy out. But let's head back to our base and drop off our loot. Okay guys, so that should be everything in this chest now, and I've just realized that we completely forgot to do an item sorter for wet sponge, because that's another item which we could potentially pass through into our super smelter and, you know, obviously dry them out and then pass them back into our system. So yeah, I think there should be enough room to do that, because I did leave plenty of room on both sides to add in more item sorters if needed. I think we'll probably do it on this side because there seems to be a bit more room here, and it should just be moving this line over by 1 block, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show you guys last time. I've actually added in the drop shaft for this super smelter. So underneath all the furnaces is a line of hoppers, and they pass items into this dropper, which just fires via a clock, and then all the items should fall into this hopper, which basically runs back over the item sorters again, and should eventually just make their way back into our main storage area. So in theory, that should all work. I did have to add in another line of hoppers here because silly me had these hoppers pointing into each other, which was a stupid thing to do because these hoppers are locked, so that's pretty much going to be useless. So we did have to take this out by 1 block to get everything to work. But yeah, it shouldn't be too much work to get an extra item sorter in there, and I'm sure I'll probably think of something else that needs to be done. But anyways, right now I'd like to pop into a third-person time-lapse and basically recreate all the circuitry and these item elevators, everything that we need from this side over onto the other side, so we can finally have 2 automatic dual super smelter madness. Okay guys, so the super smelter circuit should be complete now, and it was actually a lot easier this time around because I was basically just copying what I did before, so I knew exactly what I was doing. In the second half of the time-lapse, I did actually attempt to do the roof, and I didn't put it in the time-lapse because it is hideous. It's really ugly. I don't really have any experience with roofs, so I think I started doing this side first, and I basically just mirrored the shape of this window frame, and it just looked terrible. It looks really bad. There's just so many jaggedy edges, so I wasn't happy with this at all. And then I tried something different on the other side, and I don't even know what this is. This is embarrassing, so I had to cut out the time-lapse, and I think I'm going to have to play around with this off camera. I'm going to have to do a lot of research as well into kind of roof or ceiling designs. And just really try and educate myself, go through YouTube and see what other people have come up with, because apparently it's something I'm not very good at, so I need to learn how to do this. But anyway, we can test this system now. We can finally check to see if everything is wired up correctly. So yeah, the coal line is this line here, so again I need to throw in multiples of 36. So I can just do this, and that should pass along the system. By the way, I think I figured out why we had one coal missing in the last episode. And I think it's to do with the fact that I throw all the items into this hopper. Normally when items are passing through, they come up the dropper elevator one at a time. And I think because they come in so slowly, then this system it works fine because there's a bit of a gap in the item sorting, so it doesn't overload. But I think if you throw all the items directly into that hopper, then there's problems and something just doesn't seem to work. So we had this firing then, so it's definitely working somehow. That shouldn't be doing that. Okay, that's why. We can take that one out, put that one in there, and force that in. Yep, okay. Yeah, I think that's just the same problem. It doesn't work if you throw all the items into one hopper, but if you do pass it through the system, in theory it should work. It's just teething problems, basically. But yeah, I think that's going to work. I'll certainly keep an eye on it just to make sure it doesn't do that from now on. But even if it did do something like that, it's not the end of the world. We just need to pass up more coal, and that should push everything through. So in theory, this should be a zero maintenance super smelter, and I should never need to touch it. So I'll definitely do some more tests. But anyway, for the next part of this episode, I really want to get get finishing on these item sorting systems for the bulk items. Now, I started this in the last episode, actually, and I put in the first dropper elevator. We're going to have a water stream that passes along here, and then all the items should get picked up by these item sorters. These are kind of really small item sorters that I've managed to cram into this basically 2x2 area. And yeah, there's one over here as well. Now, this is kind of a tricky design because we have our three bulk storage silos. This one is, I think this is andesite, this one is stone, and this one is cobblestone. Ideally, we would just have one dropper elevator to take items to all three. The problem with that is it would probably have to go either over here or at the far end here, because we would have our water stream kind of go in a big L shape. The reason we can't do that is these drop elevators take up quite a bit of room. I think they go back, I think it's 4 blocks or thereabouts. So they're quite bulky, and we can't have it here because underneath we have the walkway for the entrance. On the other side we have our window frame, so we can't put anything there. So it pretty much has to go in this area here because we do have plenty of room to play with. But that does seem like we're going to need 2. I mean, we could maybe try and do 1, but it's a bit tricky with the water streams. I guess we could have an item sorter right at the start that would take items over there. I've actually just noticed that this isn't going to work as well because we're going to encounter the same problem that we had down below with the coal item sorter, where basically as items come along here, they actually fall into this little gap in the hopper and they get stuck. So for that reason, you actually have to have the hopper 1 block over, and you have to have the items push against, you have to do the cake trick pretty much. So yeah, I think this is going to need to be redesigned. And I guess also this dropper elevator might be too close. This might be able to spit items over this. So I'm not too sure. I think I'm going to have to play around with this and, do a bit of a redesign, try and figure out exactly how to do this. Progress update, and I've made some changes to the design to try and get everything functioning properly. Now, the first thing to point out is that I've started laying the framework for the shape of the exterior of the building. Now, I've mentioned before that I wanted this to be a kind of castle theme on the outside. It's obviously not looking very castle-like on the inside, but, that doesn't matter too much. And I said that I wanted to do these turrets in the corner. So these are basically bits that stick out and should give this kind of rounded shape to the corners. So I think it's going to look pretty good, and it does give us a bit more room here for the circuitry for, the dropper elevators. Now, the second thing to point out is that I tried to do this with just one dropper elevator, and it probably can be done, but it would have been extremely messy to do it because to fit 3 item sorters up here is a bit too tricky. And I think I would probably have to take the dropper elevator actually higher and then drop it down somehow. So it just became easier to use 2 dropper elevators. And I think this is what I'm going to come up with. So we have the 2 here. The shorter one on the left is the one that passes to this storage silo, and then the taller one passes to these ones. We're going to do the cake trick here. So we'll have 2 cakes on these blocks, and then these hoppers have now been shifted one to the side, so everything should pass in there. It's kind of tricky to do this because we needed the dropper elevators to come from this side because obviously our item sorters are on this far wall, so this water stream had to kink in this direction. If we were to have the hoppers on this side, then we would have to have the water stream come from here. So it's just kind of tricky to do, you have to try and cram this thing in. But I think this is going to work. I've also done some of the circuitry and water streams down in the basement as well, so let's just take a look at this. Similar to what we had before, we've got our dropper here, which should be hooked up at some point, and this should spit items into the water stream, which should pass along. Cake trick again, so I think this hopper here is for andesite. This will pick out the andesite. This goes into, I think it's the dropper elevator on the right. Yeah, it's the shorter one, that's right. And then the other items should go in this one on the left. So we've actually got 1 item sorter up here, and then we got 2 item sorters up there, as well as the 3 item sorters here to pick out the items in the first time. So I'm pretty sure this is all going to work. But yeah, let me finish working this off camera and catch you guys in just a second. Okay guys, so both sides of the bulk storage silo should be completely wired up now, and I think this just looks fantastic. I love this. I love the fact that we can see all this circuitry behind. We can even see downstairs to the item sorters, and then we have the circuitry here for dividing items to these super smelters. I think this looks brilliant. It's a shame that we're going to have to cover this up with a wall eventually. I think that's partly why I put glass in these little grooves here, just so we could actually see some of the redstone. And we are going to have a maintenance hatch as well, so we should be able to see some of this, but I just think this looks brilliant. Really happy with this. I did make some changes down here, so this water stream I think was originally along this line. I've shifted this a couple blocks to the side just to leave a little bit more room here in the center, because this is where we're going to have our redstone for kind of, the separating the clay and the coal. So we're going to take 50% of the clay that's going to get sent into this device. This device is what divides the items between the 2 super smelters, and then the other 50% is going to get sent back into our main storage area, just in case we want to use the coal for things like torches, and we want to use the clay for, say it's like clay pots or clay blocks or something. So yeah, that's definitely going to give us those options for that. I did take out this kind of super duper burnout torch clock thing. Yes, it was fantastic clock. It's probably one of the fastest ones in the game, I think, but it was just too fast for this system. It just couldn't quite handle it. And our coal item sorter, which is kind of in this water stream down there, kept on backing up. So we just had to revert to the old-fashioned comparator clock, or whatever you want to call this thing. So this would just fire. It's kind of once every, I don't even know, it's once every 6 or 8 ticks or something. It's very, very slow. But it should work. It should work fine. So I think the next thing to do, we're almost ready for a complete systems test, and I've kind of been dying to do this for ages, but it's just not quite there yet. I think all of the item sorters, they should almost be filled in. I've still got a few more to do, but I've done as much as I can. These are just the non-stackable items. But yeah, once I think all these are in place, the last thing to do is to build this circuit here for dividing that coal and clay. I think unfortunately there's not going to be enough time to do it in this episode, but certainly get around to this on the next episode, and then that way we can finally do our full systems test. Really excited for that one. And yeah, if we just head back inside real quick, definitely between episodes I'm going to be playing with the roof, because this is just... I don't know what to do. This is horrible. I actually kind of like the fact that you can see the blue sky, so I guess I could somehow incorporate glass in the roof somehow. It's not going to matter too much what we do with the roof in here, because we're going to have a castle on the outside, and that's going to hide any appearance that we're going to have on the roof, so we're not actually going to be able to see this at all from the outside. And oh geez, I've fallen down. But yeah, I think it's still going to look fantastic when it's done. I just need to figure out exactly what to do there. I really don't know. I really don't know what to do. And then we have some space in the center here. I kind of want to put something here just to fill the gap, but at the same time, I don't want to overpower this room. It's quite simple and sweet at the moment. We could just do, a pedestal or something, just a little bit of detailing. I'm not too sure. I really don't know, but I think simplicity is the key here. I want to keep this nice and simple, but I am really happy with this. Definitely liking this build, and even more happy with the fact that we've got so much redstone and so many kind of channels for items and things down here. This is probably one of the most complicated item sorters I've ever built, but really happy with this. I just think it all works, and it should all be completely automatic as well. So by the time we get everything up and running, you should just never need to touch it. It should just be fully automatic, maintenance free. Even we're going to have maintenance hatches, but we're not going to need to do any maintenance, I don't think, in theory. But I'm really happy with this. But anyway, that is all we have time for in this episode. Definitely in the next episode, what I'd like to do is, now that we've discovered the Ender Portal, that's definitely something to do now, is we're going to take on the Ender Dragon. So I've got my tiny little brewing stand set up in this corner. I'll definitely get some potions made up, probably get some spare sets of armor on the go, and we can get fully geared and ready to take out the dragon. So I think that's going to be really fun. And then once we do that, I really want to get finished with this storage room. This has been a couple episodes now, and this needs to get done so we can move on to new projects. So hopefully we can get that finished all by the end of the next episode. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy this. And as always, if you did, then please do leave it a like. And if you want to keep up with my future episodes or my tutorials, then please do subscribe. I've been Eli. Thanks for watching.